You're listening to the SClubBeat with Dale and Katey.
Guys, we're back. It's season 2 of the SClubBeat. I'm your favorite host, Katey.
And I am the other least favorite host, Dale.
Yes. And do you know what time it is, Dale?
Katey, is it time to reach for the stars?
It is. Are you excited?
I'm so excited. We are going to talk about the first single from S Club's second album, 7. So Katey, who do we have with us today?
We have a lovely guest today. It's Mel from Australia.
Oh my God, I
got to meet her. Yeah, I got to meet her last year during the tour. We had some adventures, so she's so sweet.
We love her already. Anyone who's a friend of Katey is a friend of ours.
Hello, friend.
Hi, Mel.
Hello.
It's so excited. So we have Mel here from Australia. She's going to kind of take the brunt of all of our questions for New Zealand and Australia. We just want to preface it by saying we do realize that they're two separate countries, but we're going to lump them together for the sake of argument because we don't have any New Zealand fans that we can reach out to. Y'all can reach out if you want to talk to us, but we don't have anything. So this week we're going to talk about S Club's. So would y'all say this was the 4th single or the 5th single? So we have Bring It All Back.
Right.
So technically it's the 4th, but I would also argue that it's the 5th, 2 in a Million, and You're My Number One.
I'll say because of the double A side, yeah.
So it's the 4th
4/5.
Yeah, it's the 4th and or 5th, depending how you look at it. It was released on May 22nd of 2000 in England. Do you by any chance remember the Australian release date, Mel?
It probably would have been because I literally just started high school at that point. Probably pretty similar, maybe like a couple of months after, I would say, but like fairly close.
Mm-hmm. So, fun fact, Katey, Reach was never released in America. We just didn't get it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
No, it just went straight.
Yeah, I imported all his stuff. So.
Yeah.
All right. So,
that's not news to me.
Not news. Well, some people might be surprised to know that because it's such a fan favorite song. So according to like some research I did before we started this episode, it was apparently recorded for S Club's first album. Did y'all know that?
No.
Yeah, I didn't know it either.
Like I know there's been other songs.
That's what you're here for, to do research.
Well, it's just Wikipedia, so anyone can edit Wikipedia, but it also kind of makes sense that it was available for boyfriends and birthdays. Because that would have had to have been recorded, like, in the fall of 99, like, after Miami 7 had already finished all that stuff. So it would make sense as to how it was already available for that. So the song, contrary to what everyone believes, is actually just called Reach. It is not called Reach for the Stars, Katey or Mel. It's not called Reach for the Stars. Many people say that, and it drives me crazy. I think one of the S Club said it at one point, and I'm like, no, it's not Reach for the Stars. Sorry, it's just Reach. So it got to number 2. It got to number 2 in the UK charts. It stayed there for 3 whole weeks. And do you want to know what it was held off by? A song I've never heard.
Nope.
So it was Sonique's It Feels So Good. Have y'all heard that song? Because I have not.
I know of the artist, but I don't know the song.
I know of neither.
Me either. So this is news to me. But apparently she was important enough to keep S Club off the top spot for 3 weeks. So there's that.
We are going to have to get a fan of hers in now to figure out what the heck. Like, what made her so important?
Right.
What makes
that Reach didn't get it.
And the last thing, so I don't know, I don't have it with me, but I photographed it, but they also did Reach promo discs with Pepsi. So there were 2 different promotional discs, one with them all laid down, and then a cute little 3-inch. I'll put a picture here for everyone to see. But it had some interviews, and it had an alternate, the Steve Anderson remix of Reach. So, do y'all have anything to add to that? No? Just some random facts?
Cool random facts though. Like sometimes, like you
Yeah.
think you know things so well until you actually research it, and you're like, oh, I forgot about that, or I didn't know that. Like it's kind of cool to hear those things. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just leave
the
to
next,
Dale to make us feel dumb.
I mean, I'm not trying to make anybody feel dumb. Like I knew I knew it never got to number one because would y'all argue that this is the most known S Club song?
Yeah, I'm surprised to know that it didn't get to number one.
yeah,
Yeah.
agree. Like that, I would have thought people would know it more. Like I know it's obviously well known, and I would have thought, yeah, it would have got to number one. Like then you've got "Don't Stop Moving," which is obviously like the next sort of biggest one, I would say.
Yeah,
That went
but
quite big around the world.
yeah, like, and we've all. You didn't come to the U.S. shows, did you, Mel?
No.
So obviously, Katie and I did go to the U.S. shows, and the American fans were just as crazy as the U.K. fans when it came to like reaching.
Okay.
So it's such a huge song, and I would argue that it is one of S because every time they've gone on Ant and Dex, they've sung it.
Yeah.
You know, the Ant and Deck Saturday Night Takeaways, and it's just such a huge song.
And I think it's popular at weddings and stuff too.
Yeah, it's really big on
and
weddings.
like parties and things. Yeah.
So something that I wish that they would have done after Paul passed away was release his acoustic version from the 2015 tour. Do I remember when he took it?
That was beautiful. Yes.
Yes. So I wish after he passed, they would have released that on like streaming or something as like a tribute to him because it was such a beautiful version.
No, they could have tied it in with like releasing it as a download and having the profits go to like the British Heart Foundation, like they did with the shirts on tour, things like that. So it could have worked really well, I think.
Yeah, they would have done amazingly, but I guess it wasn't really the right time, like in the immediate aftermath. And I guess there isn't really ever a right time to do that, but hopefully one day we'll get it.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I love the rendition on the tour because like it took me a minute. I'm like, okay, the words sound familiar, but what are we listening to? Like it's like, oh my gosh, it's Reach. Like that's surprising.
It was so mellow and so like calm, and his voice is so luxurious. Like I hate we don't have an official recording of it. So we have two B-sides for this. So we have I'll Be There, which was included on the album. And we have Someday, Someway. So something that we've kind of discussed on the other podcast is how S Club existed before we know it. And they were recording primarily covers. So we know they did, what's that one that we talked about in the Bring It All Back episode, Katie, with Aaron Carter? I Want Candy. And then they did Dancing Queen. They just did a lot of covers. And I think this was one of the covers.
They did, actually, yeah. So
I think this is one of their covers that they'd recorded like in the earlier days because John's voice sounds very young. If you know what I mean.
Agree, yeah. So, you can definitely tell the difference between like the later songs and that. Like it did sort of feel like it wasn't quite recorded at the same time. I'm like, it's a good song, so I don't really care. But
I mean, it's a great song. It's a cover of a Marshall Crenshaw song. And did you not know that?
I did not know that, actually, no.
It's a Marshall... I could be wrong, but I believe it's a Marshall Crenshaw song. Let me double check this.
I knew it was a cover, but I couldn't tell you who it was for. But...
let me see.
And it's an older song, too, isn't it?
It was released in 1982 by Marshall Crenshaw.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
But, like I said, and this isn't the last cover we're going to have on this, because... I think the rest of the singles, like the Long and Winding Road, is on You, I think.
Of course.
But we have a couple more covers coming up. And then we have I'll Be There, which is, of course, on the album. So, do you have any comment on I'll Be There or Someday?
I'll Be There. I always forget sometimes that it's a Tina song because it's not like her other songs.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm like, oh yeah, that is a Tina solo.
Oh, and we have the S Club Party, Bradley and Paul's remix on CD 2 of the
of course,
singles. Yeah. So we have.
I couldn't tell you which is which. Those remixes just blur together for me.
Sometimes they do. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. So the music video. I'm gonna go ahead. I don't know if I've said this yet, but Reach is one of my least favorite songs. Like, I do not know. I do not love Reach at all. I think it's very immature.
Campy.
It's very campy. It's very immature. It's not where I wanted S Club to be for their second album. And in comparison to the rest of the 7 album, it doesn't really fit. So, like, we have...
It doesn't actually,
it's like more R&B, like the rest
it
of the album
is. We have Natural, we have All in Love is Fair, Cross My Heart, but I guess one could argue that it would fit better on the first album. So
if you're going sort of like with the vibe, it would have, absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess I could see that being a first album song, but it does not fit the second album. I mean, the second album does have other campy songs like Love Train, that's very campy, but that's also a song that was meant for that album.
Yeah.
So the music video, it was filmed in Little Rock, California on a large pink bus that I think eventually takes flight. I have not seen it in a while.
I just don't understand what the concept of the whole, like, happy candy, like.
So I think there was a movie that kind of I don't know, but they distribute little pieces of bubblegum or pieces of candy that have an S shape on it, and it makes the townsfolk come alive. But there's a lot of like 1960s, 1970s movies like that where they, someone comes through a town and livens it up. So I don't know, y'all. It's
probably my least favorite video. I love the song, but the video is just not it for me.
I would be absolutely fine with never hearing the song or watching the video again, if I'm completely honest. It's just not a good song, and I don't feel like, y'all know how Cheryl from Girls Aloud says, I'm not going to be 30 years old singing Love Machine, and
what's she doing right now?
Right now she's on the tour, but I don't think 20-year-old John, Joe, Rachel, Bradley, Tina saw themselves reaching for the stars. Like, Tina's pushing 50. Like, she's still reaching for the stars at 50. I just don't think anyone would take the song seriously, whereas songs like Bring It All Back, like that doesn't really age. Like, that song still feels like it could be a recent song, whereas Reach just sounds very 2000s. It's very dated.
See, I always bring a lot of the songs back to the tour, because I know that listening to the tour changed it, but I like Reach on the tour I love. Like, it always has to be right before the encore. I can't help but, like, bounce up and down while they're singing and the other stars are flying through the air. Like, I like it. Yeah.
I mean, like, I've been to the tour, like, and I've seen it live, and like the atmosphere when it's on, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to deny the fan impact of that song, and I could be solely alone on the Reach hate train, but I think there were better alternate singles from the album to launch it, and maybe a more R&B influenced song could have beat Sonique's It Feels So Good. And
I think he's trying to, like, put something out there for Natural. Like, that's what I feel like you're trying to do.
I mean, Natural, I'm not going to say that it's my favorite song, Katey, but I do feel, and in some territories, Natural was released as the first song. So I think Natural was released, because according to the Wikipedia, Reach wasn't released in Australia. But I don't think
I remember seeing the video. Definitely remember seeing the video, like, on, the morning music TV shows on the weekend. But as far as seeing it in the shops, like, I don't really remember seeing it, like, at all.
Yeah, and, like, even looking at the next release for Natural wasn't released in Australia until January of 2001. So
it was a later one, definitely.
Yeah, so it seemed like after Reach didn't, we're going to get into the charts in a little bit, but it did chart in Australia, so it had to have been released. So it doesn't make sense for it to chart in, I don't know, Wikipedia. Like I said, anyone can edit it.
Yeah.
So the next thing we're going to talk about, Katey, I think it's not your favorite thing, but it's one of your favorite things. The covers.
The year end. Oh, I was just saying the year end.
The year end, it's coming. We got that, Katey. It's coming. But there's two notable covers, and I know y'all wanted to talk about them at length. But the first one we're going to talk about is the S Club Junior S Club 7 version that was featured on CD 1 of One Step Closer. So I listened to it just before we started, and the juniors sing the verses, S Club keep the chorus, and then it just alternates from there. So what is y'all's opinion on the S Club Juniors cover?
Useless then. Like, if they're just going to edit it together, like, at least combine the voices. Like, I could edit it together.
Like, you can just tell the divide. I feel like they just threw it together to fill some space on the CD, honestly.
Yeah, and I also think they were trying to get people, like S Club 7 fans, to like the juniors. But like, oh, we get a new version of the song.
Yeah.
So,
didn't work.
No, I didn't buy it. But they also did it with S Club Party, like on Fool No More, like we talked about that a couple of episodes back.
Of course, yeah.
So they're just trying to get S Club 7 fans on the S Club Juniors bandwagon. And I'm sorry, 19 Management and Polydor, it did not work for Dale and the world.
Didn't work for Katey.
Didn't work for Katey, and
I didn't mind some of the songs they did, but like if they'd done it properly, I think it would have been okay. But because they were so young, they were pushing it, and then obviously like they were sort of became the S Club when S Club disbanded. It just they had some good songs, but So
I mean, I don't like the S Club 7 version, but I don't like the S Club Juniors S Club 7 version even more, if that makes any sense. So we don't love that. So the next cover, so we've talked a little bit about the American Juniors. So they performed it on the TV show, but thankfully it was never officially released on a studio album. Do y'all have any comments on that one? Because I don't. Is it better or worse than the S Club Juniors version?
Worse.
Worse, 100%.
Worse.
Okay.
But of course, S Club Juniors was auto-tuned, so I mean.
Well, I'm pretty sure the American Juniors version was too. Like, I don't think it was performed live. I don't think any of the stuff was live. No. I think it was all pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded and like tuned up a bit.
When they're singing the chorus, like the rainbow shining over you, it sounds so like off-key. Like, I mean, not that I could sing any better.
You can tell something ain't right.
The last thing we're going to talk about, the charts. Katey, we have something better than the year-end charts this time. We have something better. So we're just going to start with the weekly charts. As we previously discussed, it was held off in the UK. We got it at number 2. In the UK, it was held off for 3 weeks. So we need to speak to a Sonique fan. Was she even... I need to look at this song because I don't... What... It feels so good.
I think from memory, if I remember, she was a bit more of, I want to say like an R&B artist if it's the person I'm thinking of. I've definitely heard the name before though.
Yeah, I'm looking at the album now. The album only got to number 6. So, y'all make it make sense because isn't 7 a number 1 album?
You're the fact guru.
Yeah, the 7 album got to number 1. But the Sonique album that houses that song that beat Reach only got to number 6. So the math isn't mathing, if we're completely honest. But, I mean, whatever. Whatever, y'all. So it also got to number 2 in Scotland. It got to number 8 in Ireland. Ireland? I don't know. It got to number 20 in Spain, number 28 in New Zealand. So this is kind of where we need Mel to... kind of hound in because as we discussed this a little bit before the podcast started, prior to this, the 3 S Club songs got to number 1 in New Zealand. So we had Bring It All Back, S Club Party, 2 in a Million. The album got to number, what was it, Katey? Because we talked about this.
2.
Was it number 2?
Was it 2?
I'm checking now. The New Zealand, where is that? Where is it? Yeah, it did get to number 2. You were right, Katey.
Okay.
So it got to number 2. And then after that, it kind of just, S Club just kind of fell off in your region. So Australia, it's the one down from New Zealand. So it got to number 38. Again, I'm not sure how, because apparently it was never released there. So can you talk a little bit about how it did so well in the region, and then it just didn't anymore?
Well, I think like the first ones, maybe it was like something new. It was the end of the 90s. People still like sort of into that. And then you've got this turn into the 2000s where, yeah, there was a bit more focus, like for us at least, on either the big American, like Britney, Christina, like all those artists who got a lot of the airtime, a lot of the promo, but they never really promoted like S Club or any of the other sort of British artists. Because I love the British music. Like, that's always been a thing I've loved. Like, even like here now, like, if you're not a big American artist, honestly, it's a pretty hard sort of slog to be able to actually get like radio play and things like that. So, lack of promotion. If they like, because I know with New Zealand, they actually did a performance in Auckland. Like, they actually flew there and did a performance on the harbour, as where like we never saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So it just seems so crazy, and like to look at Natural being released a year later, like in January of 2001, it just seems like S Club's focus was all on the UK, and then everywhere else just got like this random one-off performance, and they're like, this is all you get. And then I guess New Zealand just says, well, we don't have any more album sales for you, sorry. So for New Zealand,
doesn't really make sense, like, to not focus on the US but then film and promote, like, I guess promote the US and UK, but then not promote the music in the US. Like, you're going to use our backdrop, but not give us the content.
I mean,
that always struck me as strange.
It is, and I think they could have, like, if they really wanted to, I think they could have done better with the promotion, because they were already here for such long periods of time. Promote a single while you're filming. Yeah. Or like pre-record performances while you're filming and give them to the places to perform, because I don't know, y'all. It doesn't make sense. But of course, the US didn't get reach, so it didn't chart. So that's sad. But this is the last New Zealand chart that we get with reach. So I don't think any of their other songs. Well, because I know Never Had a Dream Come True was big there, because I have y'all's version of it. Let's see. No, it didn't chart in Australia. So
I would have made a chart if I had the money, because it's my all-time favourite song. So,
we love.
Yes, Mel, show us how much all-time favourite is.
Trying to angle it. Wait. So I've got like the tattoo and Joe's handwriting.
You had to write that out?
Yeah, so I was travelling in the UK in 2022, and after I'd made all my plans, she announced this show in Birmingham, which was the night after something I was seeing in Liverpool. And I was like, it was an easy rearrange. I was going to go back up to Liverpool, like everything was all good. And I asked her to write it out, and she did, and then I got a tattoo and showed them on tour. So, yeah.
I love that. So if y'all can't see, she has Never Had a Dream Come True written out on her forearm. Y'all can go to the YouTube and watch the actual video of it for those listening on just audio. But y'all did get Don't Stop Moving.
That was massive. That did really quite well, I think, from memory.
Okay, so looking at, like, we're just going 3 albums ahead at this point. But New Zealand comes back with number 3, and it got to number 2 in Australia. So I guess they didn't completely fall out. I guess just for the second album. And New Zealand, y'all had Have You Ever as well. I think everyone just kind of gave up at You. Did y'all get You?
I think a little bit. Like, I definitely remember. Yeah, because I remember definitely buying the Have You Ever single, like, in our Kmart, because our Kmart is, like, your Target. Like, they completely... Like, Target in the States, stunning. Target here is terrible. But yeah, I remember going into Kmart to buy the single. I'm like, Mom, give me $5, because I was, like, 14 at the time or something. I'm like, and yeah, so I remember buying the actual single, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess they just didn't like the second album as much. I guess Reach kind of didn't do well, so they're just like, whatever. And then just disappeared. So do you remember Never Had a Dream Come True being big out there? Or recognizable? Or?
Nah,
No?
definitely wasn't. I just knew of it obviously because like I imported the single and stuff like when HMV was still around here. Like I imported a lot of the stuff in, so like the
Mm.
singles more. So the albums were sort of more easy to find, but the singles, especially because I had like the 2 CDs and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So, Reach. All right, back to the charts. In Sweden, it got to number 42. Switzerland, it got to 30. And then Germany got to 62 as well. Did I say Sweden at 42 or 62?
I don't know. I wasn't listening to you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so Sweden was at 42. Switzerland was at 30. Because I tried to put these in order so it would be better, but Switzerland's just down there. And then Germany at 62. So how would y'all say this single rated? Like, in comparison to like Bring It All Back, it didn't chart in as many countries because like that list was massive. So I guess, would y'all say Reach was bigger than Bring It All Back? I mean, we would have to. I don't know. I think
in some ways yes, in some ways no. Like obviously it didn't chart in as many places, but it's such a nostalgia song. I think it's definitely overtaken it these days. Like if you go on TikTok, there's like those memes of, oh, my workplace is burning down and I'm just vibing, and it's literally Reach is the background song. So I feel like it's sort of it's hilarious. So I feel like it has had a sort of comeback in more recent years, like with the nostalgia thing, but back then, like not so much.
And like as you said earlier, like the song is played at parties and weddings and all that stuff. So I don't know. Like, there's this wedding thing on TikTok, like these big TikTok couple. They hired SClub3 to come and sing Reach at their wedding. And like it's a whole like vlog, and like SClub are just behind the scenes and they're like surprising the bride and all that stuff. It's crazy. Like the song has so much love, but I just hate it. I hate it so much.
Apparently, I need to get on TikTok because I've not seen either of those.
Well, the one I'm
too
talking
lame.
about, I'll send it to you later. Or we'll link it in the comments on YouTube or whatever. So the next thing that we're going to talk about are Katey's favorite things.
The year-end charts.
The year-end charts. And we have something
he
better.
He likes to say they're my favorite because I didn't know they existed.
Yeah, I had to explain them to her in the first episode. Like, she had no idea. But I get to explain something new in this episode. We have decade-end charts, Katey. The biggest selling songs of a decade. Crazy, right? Anyway. So, SClub with Reach were the 11th best-selling single of 2000. So do you want to know what's cool about that, Katey?
Is that we had other songs on there too?
Probably, but we're going to talk about this later. What's cool is that they were the 11th best-selling single of 1999 with Bring It All Back and the 11th best-selling single of 2000 with Reach. That's
consistency.
We love the consistency. Let's see if I think Bring It All Back probably exceeded that, or not Bring It All Back. Don't Stop Moving. Let's see if they got the.
If it didn't, I'd be surprised.
So they were the 7th best-selling single of 2001. So they surpassed.
It's still iconic.
It is.
100%.
It is. Like, anytime SClub are on a compilation album and they're number 7, I was like, that is just correct. That is just correct.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then they were the 47th best-selling single in Ireland. So I think this is the first time we've had a Ireland track, the best of, and a decade-end chart. So I didn't see. So I'm always confused about what a decade is because I know a decade's 10 years, but what 10 years?
Right.
So let me see if there's any information on that. And then it randomly re-entered the singles download charts in 2023. I'm thinking after Paul passed away, or maybe after the reunion was announced. I don't know. But
I would say that was all in that span of a couple of months. So I would say, yeah, that'd be a big reason for sure.
Let me see if I can get a date on that. So April 16th. So it was the week that Paul passed away, unfortunately. So
but that was the one that, of all the songs?
Yeah, Reach was the one that got back up in the downloads charts. So, rest in peace, Paul. But the decade that it ended in at number 84 was between the decade of 2000 and 2009. So they were the 84th best-selling single in a 10-year span. Katey, do you have anything to say about that?
I'm actually surprised on that. Like, I was thinking for some reason, like, it was the end. Like, 2000 was the last year for the decade. So they made it 84 after 10 more or 9 more years of other songs. They still made it to 84.
Yeah.
So I think that's impressive.
I'm looking at the rest of the singles that are coming up. And they got the 43rd for Never Had a Dream Come True. So that's not bad. 34. And then I think the only other one that would probably do it is Don't Stop Moving. So let me go to that one real quick. Yeah, they were the 26th in the decade for Don't Stop Moving. And the only other one that would probably be Never Have You Ever. So no one loves you. No one loves that song. No, they didn't do it for the decade. So the last one
I'd be surprised if Have You Ever was on there.
Yeah. But 3 songs in a 10-year period, it's kind of impressive. 3 songs.
Especially to be at the beginning of the 10-year period, not the end.
Yeah. So these are older songs that newer songs couldn't break. So that's all I have for Reach. Do y'all have any final thoughts before we sign off? No? Y'all hate I do? Okay, so Mel, do you want anyone to follow you on anything? A TikTok or a Twitter?
If they want, they can do that. Let me just actually pull up, because I can never remember my usernames on like anything. So that Aussie Mel on Twitter. I'm probably a bit more active on there, to be honest. And then that Aussie Mel, yeah.
That Aussie Mel.
And then on the Instagram is Oh Hey It's Mel, but it's OHEYYYITSMEL. And that's on Twitter TikTok and Instagram.
And then, of course, y'all can follow Katey at Katey_Carmen on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah. I think you can find that on Facebook, too. I don't use that Facebook much, but there is an account on Facebook for that.
Beautiful. You can follow me at World of S Club, and you can follow the podcast at the SClubBeat on every major social. So it's been lovely having you, Mel. Thank you for taking the brunt of our anger for your region and explaining it.
6 a.m, too. I mean, geez.
Yeah. Thank you. Like, it's 6 o'clock in the morning for Mel. It's like 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock for me and Katey. So she's a massive fan for doing this for us. Like, we've had problems with people in the U.S., like, with the scheduling, and she just wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning to talk to us. So kudos to Mel.
Yeah, she's like, 6 o'clock, okay. I'm like, are you sure? Oh, yeah.
I'm literally normally up earlier for work if I'm working. Normally I don't work today, but I'm going to work after this because my manager needed, like, an extra hand. But I normally start work at, like, 6, 7 a.m.
You're listening to the S Club Beat with Dale and Katey.